Is the Bitcoin bottom already in, or are we about to see an even bigger crash in the coming weeks? This video is going to be very important. Make sure to watch it till the end, or you could be at risk of losing a lot of money. So, if you're following my social media pages or my YouTube channel, I had shared this chart in July 2026. And as per this chart, I was expecting a pump towards 78,000 to 84,000, and then a crash. But I was expecting the targets to hit in July, and a crash in August. However, since it was trading very close to our invalidation point, I thought this theory was invalid. But to our surprise, we did hit our target. But the problem is, our analysis and targets are running behind our schedule, meaning we are currently on a 1-month delay with our schedule. So if you see this chart, you can clearly see Bitcoin first dumped around 46,000 points. Then it pumped roughly 20,000 points, followed by a 38,000 points dump. Then it again pumped roughly 24,000 points, and again crashed 24,000 points. As you can clearly see, Bitcoin was printing a high and then a low. And based on this theory, I was expecting at least a 20,000 to 24,000 points pump in July. However, like I said, the pump was delayed, and we did get a pump, and so far, we have pumped roughly 22,000 points. Now, if this theory is valid, the top might be already in, or we might slightly push towards the 83,000 to 86,000 range. But the chances of that happening is slightly lower, because if you see, every high Bitcoin printed was lower than its previous high. But obviously, it's not a set rule. Bitcoin can still pump towards 83,000 to 86,000, because if you notice, first it pumped roughly 20,000 points, then it pumped 24,000 points. So maybe now it could slightly pump over 24,000 points. So based on this logic, Bitcoin might pump towards the 83,000 to 86,000 range. So maybe the top is in, or we might push slightly higher than this. But as per this theory, after printing a high, there is always a major crash. If you notice, first it dropped about 46,000 points, then it dropped about 38,000 points, and then finally, it dropped about 24,000 points. So after printing this high, there is a very high probability that we get another crash. But let me explain what's exactly going on in the shorter time frame. So at the time of this recording, Bitcoin is currently trading at 77,000. As long as Bitcoin is trading above 74,600 to 75,000, it still has a very high probability of pumping back towards the recent high or above 80,000. Once Bitcoin fails to hold this support, it will start crashing hard. So you got to keep a very close eye on this area. Now coming to the big question, is the bottom really in, or will it crash harder in the coming time? Now it doesn't matter what I think, but my analysis is based on data and facts. If you see, based on Bitcoin historic data, Bitcoin crashed about 85% from the top in the first cycle, 84% in the second, 77% in the third, and in this cycle, it is expected to crash around 65% to 72%. But so far, Bitcoin has only crashed about 55%. So there is definitely more room for downside. And if this historic data is valid, Bitcoin could drop as low as 35,000 to 44,000. But will it 100% drop that low? That I don't know. I am just sharing the data, what I see on the charts. But yeah, based on this data, I personally don't think Bitcoin's bottom is yet in. Now another thing is, if you notice, Bitcoin RSI has pumped above 85, which is another red flag. Not only that, if you check the on-chain data, you will notice all the big players and institutions have now opened big shorting positions. So you gotta be very careful from here, because the next crash can be much closer than you think. And I have already shared a detailed update on this in my private VIP group. I would love to share it publicly, but the problem is, whenever I share my plans on public platforms, things always go south. So if you want to stay ahead of the game, you can join our VIP group at just $6, with no lock-in period. So that's all about it for this quick video. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Is the bottom already in, or do you guys think Bitcoin's bull run has already started? Drop your analysis in the comment section below. I would recommend joining our VIP group, because all important information, which I don't share on public forum, is shared there, because I personally don't share my main strategies on public domain, because if everyone does the same thing, it won't work. So you can join our VIP group as just $6 and take advantage of all the important info, which I don't share on public domain. And trust me, we are very closer to the cycle reset, and you should be prepared for it if you want to make life-changing gains.